And those are what make up the so-called the non-believer's view. And then we talk about the believer's view, and we compare the value system between the two. Then we talk about New Age spiritualism, which is, how is religion evolving, okay? So we'll begin our recap. The atheist or agnostic view is those who do not believe in God, okay? And the opposite is the Gnostic, as agnostic meaning I don't know. Gnostic means I know. And the word Gnostic comes from a particular sect of Christianity who have now found new strength in that segment of Christianity ever since the Dead Sea Scroll was discovered. They rediscovered a lot of the original teaching of Jesus, and that has reinstated a lot of their faith of the Gnostic sect of the Christianity. So we can take, from the biology point of view, break down the human body, reduce them into organs, tissues, and everything, and further reduce that, and by the way, this is called reductionism, reduce them to the single sperm and egg, a haploid state. After fertilization, it becomes a diploid state, so one cell divides into two. The two parental and maternal DNA combine to become what we call a diploid. So two sets of chromosomes we combine back into that, and then cell division, 2 divide into 4, and so on and so forth. Continue, please. So that becomes an embryo, and what we see in embryogenesis is the fact that this embryogenesis or ontology, it recaps, just like what I'm recapping, what I'm talking about. I'm recapping. Recap is the short term for recapitulate. Okay? So I'm recapping my first 3 lectures. And embryogenesis is recapturing the evolution from the single cell organism to multicellular organism into this various species. So at the early stage of embryo, all the fetus looks the same. Okay. And then over time, it will slowly develop into your fish, develop into fish, and your human develop into human. But in the early stage, even the human has to undergo the beginning of the evolution all the way up to human. It goes through that experience, the millions of years of experience in the 8th month in the mother's body. That's what we call ontogeny, recaps phylogeny. Phylogeny is different species in the animal kingdom. Ontogeny means embryogenesis. Okay? So this kind of reductionism can come full cycle, and then furthermore, we can take the cell on the right-hand side and reduce it into the DNA, the cytoplasm, your mitochondria, and so on and so forth. And for example, the nucleus can be reduced to the DNA strand, which can be reduced to simply carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen, and phosphorus, and so on. So from the living, it can be reduced to the organic, to reduce to the inorganic. Okay? So we have what? Biology, anatomy, physiology, reduced to biochemistry, to organic chemistry, to inorganic chemistry, and so on. Okay? So in this whole process, do we see any God in there? We don't see any God. We don't need any God. We understand all the biochemical processes. We can calculate all the energy, all the activation energy, in kilocalories. We can use law of thermodynamics to predict whether reaction should exothermic, endothermic, and so on. We understand everything. No God in there. So that's why we understand why some people don't believe in the God. We understand the atheist view, and we understand the agnostic view, and we understand why superficially science seems to be at odds with religion. Okay, so this is like the quarreling couple. Okay, he's correct from that point of reality. Okay, so the value system for an agnostic or an atheist, well, then what is their purpose in life? Well, they will say, well, my purpose in life, if there's no God, is I want to improve the living conditions for myself and for my family and for my children. Nothing wrong with that. Well, we can't fault them. What's the meaning of life other than that, right? But nothing wrong with that, and society thinks there's nothing wrong with that. Now let's examine this deeper. Well, when you say improve your living conditions, what do you mean by what kind of living conditions? Well, it boils down to living conditions, boils down to better food, better water, better shelter, better home, bigger home, $1 million home, monster home, better health, keep on doing, if I'm getting old and I can continue organ transplant so I can last forever, even though my lung and heart is no longer mine, I can live on forever. Better security, maybe better sex or love, and better entertainment, go on cruise all the time. Well, if we take these as the criteria of what quality of life is, then we will discover that this same criteria apply to your cats and dogs at home. They also want better food, better shelter, better health, exactly identical. That means the definition for quality of life, the meaning of life is no different from animal. In fact, very little different from a cancer cell. The cancer cell is also trying to better itself and its offspring. Okay? They may not have sex, they may not play, but the rest are the same. Okay? So 4 out of 6 apply also to the cancer cell and also apply to the bacteria. That's why they shoot out penicillin and kill off other bacteria so they can better protect themselves and their offspring. Okay? So, in fact, I'm a microbiologist, so I can see a lot of so-called human trait and human behavior. You can see all that in the microbiological world. You can see armies, wars going on, sacrifice, altruism, what we think are human behavior. You can find all that in the bacteria. So knowing all that, we must really re-evaluate our definition for quality of life. If we stick with the agnostic and the atheist view, we'll find that we fail to evolve above other life forms. As human, we're as primitive as other life forms. So to me, that meaning of life is very doubtful. So question is then, okay, next slide please. So we then move to discuss the value system during living for the atheist and the agnostic, starting from the sperm and egg, fertilized and then birthed, and then we live our life, then we die, and that's the end of life, no consequence. Okay? And therefore we live like animals and cancer and bacteria. With this definition for living value. Okay? So this is what our whole civilization have to re-examine. Is this central value of our society. If we are no better than that, and that is what, by the way, causing all the consumerism, all the materialism, and global warming, and end of the world, is because of this wrong value system. On the other hand, let's look at the